what we're going to look at in this tutorial is making our own home-brewed thinners for acrylic based paints. Now it's going to be just like these manufactured thinners here. There are more out there, but I'm just using these as kind of like the big manufacturers. We've got Vallejo thinners, we've got extra acrylic, and probably the most known, which would be Tamiya's X20A thinners. It's quite a popular thinners because it does thin pretty much any kind of acrylic based thinners. Right, so why make your own home brew? Well, there's three reasons really, and that is cost. Cost is the first one, because I mean it is mega cheap for what you pay for these kind of ingredients and the quantity of thinners you can get. It is a lot cheaper. We're talking litres upon litres of thinners you can make with these ingredients here, compared to going off and paying like £6 for just 250 mils of, say, the Tamiya. The second thing is, it is dead easy. I mean, it isn't an exact science. You don't have to put exactly so many mils of this, so many mils of that. I mean, you can really play around with it. It can be a bit more, a bit less of this or that. You know, it is really easy, and it's you can't really make a mistake with kind of making your own thinners. The next thing is as well is control. You've got control over the ingredients that actually goes into your thinner. So depending on your style of spraying or what you're spraying, gloss work, satin work, matte work, you can kind of tweak the ingredients with a bit of experience, a bit of knowledge. You can tweak those ingredients so as you can make it more efficient for whatever spray work you're doing. So those are the good reasons why you want to make your own brew if you want to make them. There is a fourth reason. I don't want to touch on it because I don't really want to kind of badmouth any kind of our manufacturers here, but I do think you can kind of get a better quality thinners as well. But I won't talk about that any more than that because, as I say, I don't want to badmouth people. So what we're going to do now, let's get on the bench and let's mix up these ingredients that I have in front of me here. To get this mixing process started, we're going to start off with the most easiest of ingredients. But first off, what I've got here is a 60ml pot here, just to put in our thinners. Now what you want to remember is whatever you're going to put it in, kind of take the general ingredients from a 60ml bottle like this, right? So first ingredient simply is water. Now when it comes to water, this is tap water, but what you'd probably want to do to be on the safer side is go out and get some proper water that you buy from the shops, because it's got less of the kind of nasty ingredients that you potentially have in tap water. It's just I haven't had time to get out in the shop, so for this video I'm using tap water, but really you should be using some nice water that you buy from the shops. And plain and simply what we're going to do, we're going to fill this 2/3. Using a pipette. You could use something else to kind of make this quicker, but we just fill this up to 2/3. And when I say mix, fill it up to 2/3, you know, you don't have to be an exact science and exactly measure it. Just, you know, eyeball it. You know, kind of imagine this into 3 parts and just go up 2. Right, there we go. I've just now filled that using the Mark 1 eyeball. It's about 2/3 the way up. Right, so that is kind of nice and simple. It's not been an exact science. I haven't given it out, you know, exact millimeters. It's just around about 2 parts water to 1 part IPA. Now IPA, little bit of a talk about IPA. This stuff is probably the most expensive part of the ingredient. I mean, water, you buy it from the shops, less than £1. You can kind of get away with tap water, so it's almost free. But IPA, now this stuff, you've got to be careful, because some people will sell it quite expensively, but it is actually a very cheap product. This here is 1 litre, and I paid about £8, including postage and packaging, for this IPA. So this is where the cheapness comes into it. If you can imagine 2 parts water, 1 part IPA, That's 1 litre of IPA for £8. So, you know, if we kind of go with that ratio of 2 parts water, 1 part IPA, this IPA is the equivalent of 3 litres of thinners for £8. So, you know, this is where the cheapness comes in, as I say, because I mean what we've got here is, sorry to pick on Tamiya, but 250 mils for £6, right? £8, 3 litres, right? And what we want to do, we want to put in here the other 1 part IPA. And for this one, I'm just going to speed it up. I've put it in another bottle, pure IPA in here, just to speed it up, so I can just quickly squirt this in. No messing about the rest of the way, like so. So that's 2 parts water, 1 part IPA. Now for this 60 ml bottle, I want to add a few more ingredients, because this now does make quite a nice thinners on its own, but to kind of help our spraying characteristics, what we can do is we can add some Winsor & Newton flow improver. Now what this will do to the mixture is it's a bit like a washing up liquid. It kind of breaks surface tension, it helps with the flow of the paint, and it will have a leveling effect with your paintwork, right? So it just makes the quality of your paintwork better and helps give you sort of like a smoother surface. And what we want to do, right, is we just want to get 1 mil, right, thereabouts, and we just want to put that in there like so. Now this stuff, what you've got to remember is it's got a bit of a retarder to it, and it's one of these things which it's you just want to put a bit in. You don't really want to do much. I mean, it's I mean, it does actually say on the bottle, I think it's something like maybe 10%, no more than 10% of whatever it is you're mixing it to, because it can have negative effects if you put just way too much in there. So just 1 mil does that nicely. And then what I've got here, which I also like to put in, is also from Winsor & Newton, is fluid retarder. Now what the fluid retarder will do is give our thinners a sort of even more of a self-leveling characteristics to it. It will what it does is it slows the paint drying time. So instead of spraying your paint and it literally almost dries as soon as it hits the model, which then can give you rough surfaces, by having a bit of fluid retarder in there, it slows the paint drying time down, so it allows your paint to go onto the model, go on wet, and so then it allows the paint to just level down, spread out a little bit, and that gives us that nice smooth surface. So we want about 1 mil of this stuff as well, just like so, and that there is it. There's your thinners. Now you could go off and mix all this together and really kind of give yourself a heap load of thinners. Now I did forget to mention this fluid retarder and flow improver, I think these are around about the £6–8 marks each, which I know is kind of sounding a bit expensive, but I mean it was 1 mil we used. We got 125 mils here, so this is going to last you a long time, as well as you can use this for all other aspects of modelling. The fluid retarder is 250 mils. Again, we only used 1 mil, so it might sound expensive, but it is going to last you donkeys. The main ingredients and the main costs here is your IPA, which, as I say, is mega cheap. Now what we have here is basically our mixture, and it is very close to, shall we say, X20A thinners. Now I say this by, you know, I don't know exactly what goes into X20A. All I'm saying is X20A, if you smell X20A and then you smell this, they smell exactly the same. So there you go, that's how you mix up your own home brewed thinners. So a quick recap: 2 parts water, 1 part thinners, and for this 60 ml pot of thinners, 1 ml of retarder, 1 ml of flow improver. Now, how does it get on with actually the different manufacturers of paint? Now, I've used 5. That's Vallejo, Extra Acrylics, Citadel, Tamiya and Mr. Hobby. I've tried all them and it thins them quite well, but there's 2 manufacturers that you might I'll just want to note on, and that is Extra Acrylics by Hanance. The homebrew thinners did actually perform better than their actual thinners that they sell. It just seemed to basically turn Extra Acrylics from being that bit of a problematic paint that seems to dry up on the needle, which ends up creating blockages and spluttering of the paint and everything. It seems to, because it's got this retarder in there and flow improver, it just literally turns these Extra Acrylic paints from being a problematic paint to a really nice spraying paint that we all can use now, because they've got some really nice colours. So nice big advantage, I think, with this homebrew mix. One other thing, little bit of a downer, I do personally think that Vallejo's thinners is better for Vallejo paints, but our homebrew still thins them quite nicely. So that's just 2 notes of what I've noticed through doing my own bit of testing. However, depending on how you mix it or how much you put in, how about you go about it, can have different kind of changing effects on whatever manufacturer. So kind of don't sort of take what I've said as set in stone kind of thing. Just kind of keep an open mind when making your own home brew, because a little bit extra this or a little bit of extra that can just change sort of things and kind of have different effects with different manufacturers. As much as I say it's easy and it's kind of just mix it to a Mark 1 eyeball, I think the biggest changes is when you kind of, maybe you might go 2 mils of flow retarder or 2 mils of flow improver or something like that. Just keep that in mind when you are mixing and whatever paints you're using. So you might want to do a bit of testing yourself just to make sure you're okay, or maybe just kind of stick with the formula that I've given you, because it does work nicely with all 5. So that is it, and I hope, you know, this tutorial has been beneficial to you. Like, hopefully you've kind of seen that, you know, although it's cheaper, we've got the control and it's easier, in some cases is better than the manufacturers in the way it sprays and quality. So I hope you've enjoyed.